Hello everyone, welcome to my recap of Game 8 of my WOSC in Barcelona. I won my last game, made a few mistakes where I kind of thought I had like a good attack or a mate, but it turns out that those moves weren't quite so good. But I got lucky, my opponent didn't punish them. In this game, I'm not so lucky. I'm not so lucky. So again, I think in all these games, my prep, my strategy was to just push this pawn very quickly. And usually my opponents bring their bishop up here. So it was a little bit awkward for me because I didn't face this very much, and in general, don't face this very much where people go with the gold. And generally speaking, this more ends up in like a Yokohudori type setup, which I didn't really prep. So already at this point in the game, I was a bit uncomfortable. And I also didn't quite know how the normal Yokohudori lines that I play work when I already have my silver up. So here I kind of, I'm not even going to say chickened out. I just tried to play a safe move that's like can't be that bad. So obviously here you give up the pawn and you don't get the pawn yourself, but my opponent didn't go for it. So it kind of like evened out. It's kind of okay. And then I got to try and kind of back into the Gangi setup that I normally play. And so here, yeah, just trying to get into the Gangi setup. But again, I think I'm not used to facing this. This setup is not one I face very often. So again, I was very unsure of what to do. I mean, looking back at it, I could probably just play, A, just get to my setup and see what happens, and B, yeah, I play natural moves like this one. You get to go ahead and just exchange off the pawns. There was this, I think you just saw it there, a very strange situation where my opponent took my pawn but didn't move his pawn. So I think technically I could have called that an illegal move. But yeah, I mean, it's very early in the game. Like, I'm here to actually play shogi, not just like win games on technicalities. So yeah, I just kind of let it slide. And to be fair, like watching the video back, I thought there was a lot more time in between him hitting his clock and him going to move his pawn. And just because I guess in my head, it was just so shocking. It felt like a freaking eternity. Like, wait, what just happened? But yeah, and my opponent defended that pawn exchange in a very strange way. And so he kind of got his gold and silver mixed up a bit. And so I thought I could attack here. But I ended up running into quite a bit of trouble from this. I'm not sure if this was like my opponent's prep, this is what he wanted, or if it was a bit of a mistake on his part to get this gold and silver structure. But I ended up getting into a very like awkward spot. Yeah, I mean mainly because I can't really challenge the bishop drop, I guess. Um, well, now I mean, okay, I could just drop and drop, but yeah. I mean, obviously, I know what's coming. So he drops the bishop back, and I can't remember what I did here. Okay, yeah, I just went ahead and brought my gold up. My thinking here was also my opponent's attacking, so I can try and castle my king to the right side maybe if I get my silver out of the way. And then I took this pawn because I can't just like let it promote for free. And then my opponent has this nice move, knight jump here. And I believe I thought about this for a decent chunk of time. Kind of want to rewind it a bit just to see. Or maybe I didn't. Yeah, I kind of just took it right away. Now, I read through this when I took the pawn with the gold. So obviously my gold is hanging here to the bishop. So I'm going to switch it over to Lee Shogi real quick. So we're right around here where my opponent made this nice pawn drop. I took, take. And so, and you can see from the engine, this was not a good idea. But I had a very specific idea here, which is after my opponent takes the gold, I can promote the knight, and if silver takes, I have this bishop drop. So my thinking was like, okay, if he takes it, I have a nice bishop drop that's gonna fork the rook, and if he can't take it, like this must be good, is what I was thinking, you know, because like I can maybe come in with like this knight, I can drop bishop, and so I thought for sure, like if he can't take this promoted knight, like this must be good for me. That's what I was thinking at the time. Now I think what ended up happening, my opponent found the best move. To just kind of ignore it completely. And the big problem is, you know, unfortunately, like if instead of a bishop, I had a gold in hand, this would be mate, and it'd be really good. Even a silver, right? So anything that could, you know, any of the general pieces would work fine. But I only had a bishop. But here I had an idea again. I actually thought I had maybe not forced Hishi, but like, yeah, rook sack. So I thought this was going to be Hishi. So what I was reading in this position, if we forward it to here, is when my opponent takes, actually my opponent did take, and I promote, I have the promoted knight, I have the bishop, and I have the gold that I can drop here. So I have 3 pieces attacking forward to it, and my opponent has only 1 piece guarding. So even something like gold over, I can just drop. Yeah, so I was just like, he can't defend this. That's what I was thinking when I dropped the when I sacked the rook, obviously. I think after he took back and I was getting ready to take, well, what I realized about here is actually silver takes, not only takes the piece, but also then defends 4-2. So he gets to remove my piece while also defending the key square. And once I saw this, I was like, oh no, I'm just dead. Right? Because I sacked my rook essentially for a gold, I guess. But at the same time, I also gave away a gold for a knight. So, yes, I gave away my gold for a knight, and then I gave away my rook for a gold. So I lost, was that a gold and a rook for, I guess, a knight? And a gold, I guess. No, just, yeah, knight and a gold. So, yeah, this game ends pretty quickly after that for obvious reasons. It was just unfortunate. I just made a big misread in this game. And obviously it cost me when you sack a rook on a misread. And I mean, the sad part is that I have like 33 minutes still on the clock and I just like didn't spend it. So yeah, from here again, like I try some desperation moves, right? So like this knight drop is a tsumero, at least. If he takes it, it's still mate. So I was like, okay, I'm still kind of doing something. My opponent gives me a check, I run. My opponent gives me another check, I run. And around here, I was like, okay, well, at least he doesn't have mate. That's what I was thinking here. At least he doesn't have mate, and I have some threat. My opponent found this move, which just like completely kills everything, right? So again, it blocks my horse from eyeing the key square, and it also defends the key square at the same time. So yeah, kudos to my opponent. He found all the right moves to defend against my attacks. Yeah, and again, I think pretty much every game that I lost in the tournament is like big learnings. So obviously the game where I flagged, it's like, okay, when you get to Byoyomi, like just make a move. You know, like you just need to make a move at like halfway through the countdown. You don't really want to leave it to the very, very end in case, you know, you're misjudging the timing or things like that, especially in such a, you know, one position like I had. And then the game that I lost where I was on board 6. Okay, so I had one more, like, I don't even know if you're gonna call this a trick, but like one more like desperation move. So I sacked off my silver, I sacked off my gold, um, with the idea to then fork his pieces. Obviously, the problem here is I gave up a silver, a gold, and a knight for a rook and a silver. And then that's only part of the problem, actually. The bigger problem is that, even after I get this bishop fork, um, after I take the dragon, I'm mated, right? So yeah, this was kind of a uneventful game. I went for something. It was bad. I sacked the rook, thinking I had his she when I didn't. Um, and sometimes that happens. I just, in a tournament like this, especially when you have that much time, like we have 45 minutes of thinking time, and I sacked my rook off with like 33 minutes still left on my clock. I should probably actually calculate a bit more than kind of just play moves that look good. Uh, yeah, and so obviously my opponent has, infinity pieces. I'm in the middle of the board. Even if my opponent didn't have mate, if I like take the knight, he can just take my bishop. Um, so I'm pretty sure I just resigned here. Because there's really nothing I can do at this point. So yeah, unfortunate game for me. Um, and I think this took me to, was it 4 wins and 3 losses, or five wins, 3 losses, somewhere around there. This is game 8, yeah. So 5 wins and 3 losses. And I have one more game left to close out the tournament. And so I was a little bit disappointed after this one, because I think the game where I flagged, okay, like at least I played well. At least I played well enough to win the game. And then in the game that I got to play on stage, I knew the opponent was probably stronger than me, at the very least higher rated than me. And then this game, I think I was relatively closely rated to my opponent, or maybe I was a little bit higher rated. I'm not actually 100% sure. So this is a bit of a disappointing loss, especially just the way it happened as well, with so much time left on the clock that I just didn't use. So yeah, okay, lesson learned. I learned a lot of lessons. It's interesting because, I didn't, from like a win-loss record perspective, I did better in this WOSC tournament than I did, I think, in the US Shogi Championships, or it's at least close. But I don't feel like I came away with this many lessons learned from the US tournament. So yeah, it was like a very weird difference. I think part of it is the time control that I wasn't used to. Part of it is I'm not used to these clocks. But I think it's, again, like, good lessons learned, and like, you can kind of figure out, like, going forward, even in like a variety of different conditions, like what should you look for. It's like, maybe even like if you go and you're not familiar with the clock, just like set it up. You see what the byoyomi actually sounds like, things like that, and use your time, especially if you're gonna make a very drastic move like a rook sack. So again, for everybody that's been watching all of my recaps, thank you so much. I have one left from this tournament, and then we're going to be done with the recaps for quite a while, I think. So yeah, stay tuned for Game 9. Thanks.